Oklahoma,
red dirt and bourbon, smooth and slow.
where corn's so sweet, they don't need wheat.
That's how they pour it in Broken Bow.
Oklahoma,
where a Stillwater man can set himself down.
have him a chat with a wildcat.
And enjoy them a dram from Hochatown.
You're doing fine. Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of The Noble Dram, where Gavin and I get to do the inverse of an episode from a couple months back. If you recall, we did an alma mater episode where I got to talk about how great it was to grow up in Kansas. And this month, we have to sit through Gavin talking how wonderful Oklahoma is.
Have to?
But there is a silver lining.
What's that?
Because I don't have to do it alone. We have a special guest with us tonight, Mr. Tommy McDaniel. Should we call you Blue, or is Tommy okay?
You can call me whatever you want. Just don't call me late for something to drink.
There we go. There we go.
So that's something to live by.
Blue.
So we have with us tonight.
Tommy's my name. Blue. It's what everybody calls me. So that's what I go by. Blue.
It doesn't change with your shirt color?
No, I wore that shirt to match my name. But, you know, I mean, I spent a lot of years in the corporate world and all that. And I'm back home, and everybody here knows me as Blue. And that's just fine with me.
Well, tell them why we have Mr. Blue.
Well, because there's, in the great state of Oklahoma, there's this wonderful university called Oklahoma State University, home of Pistol Pete and the Cowboys. Go Pokes, right?
It's thick already, people. It's thick already.
And it's all night long, baby, all night long. So, so we did Kansas State episode for Aaron back in, what was that, May? I think May,
June-ish.
June-ish.
Somewhere in that range.
When
people were graduating.
Yes.
And now that people are taking that last year over again, we're covering Oklahoma State.
They drink a little too much whiskey the semester before, and maybe have to do a retake.
You know what they need? Those boys from Oklahoma need a homemade whiskey to wet their palate. Boys from Oklahoma. I think this is where Tommy comes in.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, I'll be honest, I like Mr. Blue. It reminds me a little bit of a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Now it's Blue, not Mr. Blue. It's just Blue.
I know, but you seem so formal.
You seem so Mr. Like.
All right. So Blue, you are you are Hochatown Distilling. I hear.
Yes. I mean, for the moment, I have. That's a role I will have to wear. Yes, I get to wear. I should
proudly
say.
wear it.
No, we're carrying on the traditions, that we started and keep moving.
Well, let's talk a little bit about how it started back in 2015, if my memory serves right.
2015, in January 2015. There's four of us. We owners. My brother Mitch McDaniel, my brother Mark McDaniel, and Nathan Jewell. And Mitch took the lead on it, and along with me, it was, Mitch was a chemist and had been 30 years chemistry, and we never would have thought we'd come back home, and let alone make bourbon together. And I was doing the property management. Corporate world, and kind of getting out of that with a goal of starting a distillery, and just things happened with Mitch's company getting bought out and all that. We both wound up here in 15 working together to build a bourbon.
Nice.
So what drew you to Hochatown?
Well, this is area in southeast Oklahoma, McCurtain County, far southeast Oklahoma. This is where I'm from. My family's from. I go back to right at statehood. My family settled this area north up in the mountains, about 25 miles up in the mountains, and McCurtain County, if you're not familiar with it, is wooded hills, we're mountains from the Ouachitas, the Comiskey Range. It's nothing like the rest of Oklahoma. It's its own little place right here, and right here in Hochatown where we're at. Pine trees are everywhere, and it takes a lot of water. We're actually the wettest place in the state of Oklahoma right here. If you look on the meets and next indexes and all, the amount of average rainfall per year is about a 20-mile circle right around Hochatown Distilling, and that'll be important later on when we talk.
No dry campus for Hochatown, right?
No, we have plenty.
It's the wettest county, right?
Wettest county when it comes to rainfall. Yes, and it's still one of the wettest counties when it comes to liquor. We have good county laws.
I'll say my exploration of the great state of Oklahoma is pretty limited. We drive through to get to Kansas, but more than once I've driven through the area, and I will say the far eastern edge of Oklahoma, specifically the southern part where you guys are, is a completely different countryside from what you typically picture. If you went and saw the musical, they're not talking about the hills, they're talking about the plains, and it's a different part. Absolutely beautiful countryside up there.
Yeah.
I understand why one would want to come home to there.
Yeah.
And isn't it Beaver Bend?
We have right next to us here, Broken Bow is what everyone's familiar with. Hochatown was a town that was on the Mountain Fork River, and in the 30s, the Beavers Bend State Park was built. And interesting enough, the same architects that built Yellowstone built Beavers Bend State Park. And if you're in both places, you can look at certain abutments and stuff on bridges, and yeah, it was very similar. But Beavers Bend was here, and it was a very popular park from when it was built. And then in the 60s, they started planning and putting in Broken Bow Lake, and it was impounded in the 60s. And at that time, Hochatown was impounded by the lake, and Hochatown's covered up under the lake, and they moved the church and they moved the graveyard out here to the side of Highway US 259, and there was a KOA campground, and this place it just kind of smoldered for 30, 40 years, until tourism took over. And then tourism here is a very large industry. It's one of the fastest growing tourism places in the United States. And we're benefiting primarily from all of the population increases that North Texas is having and East Texas, and just people moving into the region. We're unique in the mountains and all that we have, and beautiful scenery, and people love coming here. It's just got a good vibe and a good feel. It's a little mountain country town, but man, there's 4 wineries, 2 breweries, and a distillery right here in town, and then about 25 other places to grab a drink somewhere and eat some food. So there's a lot to do here, and it's not chains or anything either. It's just a good place to be.
Sounds like a all-night diner would be a good business option in Hochatown with that many distilleries and wineries and breweries.
We got one, I think, that opens up, but they have to deal with all the drunks. And now that the casino opened up here, they got it all.
They have to deal with everyone at your establishment, right?
Yeah. I like shutting the doors early around here. I'm gonna avoid all the drunks.
So give us just a little bit more of the history of kind of how you guys got from 2015. You guys, first started barreling in 2016?
Well, yeah,
right?
I can tell you, we formed in early January 2015. We barreled our first barrel of bourbon in barrel number 1 in September of 16. And then from September 16 until we released our first product, which was a 2.5-year-old small batch. But we wanted to get something out. And that came out in May of 19. And we never sold anything between those times. We just made bourbon. And so one of the things about us is that, our core line of bourbon, it's our bourbon, it's our juice. And it's the grain mash bill that we use. We're 80% corn, 10% malted barley, and 10% rye. And we use an Oklahoma mill to mill our Oklahoma-based mill to mill our corn. And then the barley and the rye we do buy and bring in, because we're looking for some very specific flavor profiles that we get out of, especially our rye grain. And the suppliers are just solid, and that you're going to be getting that product from now forward. So which are adding a lot of the flavoring components when you're drinking in the bourbon as you're aging it.
So your first bottle hit shelves in 2019?
May of 2019.
Okay. And is barrel number 1 still aging, or has it been?
No. Barrel
bottled?
number 1 has been bottled. The bottles are here. We've never sold any. I've given them away as gifts for charities and different things, but I still have them set back. And the actual barrel itself sits in our gift shop here. It's in a finished state where I've got a kind of a display to set up high of different. I've collected some old stills from the area and have them in there. I've got a pretty good nice little display area in our still. One of these days maybe I have enough stuff gathered up for a moonshiners museum. You never know. Our area is rich and steep in the history of moonshining, by the way.
Yep.
We're known for moonshiners. Federal agents claimed Hochatown as the moonshine capital of Oklahoma during Prohibition. So made that claim in Muskogee. So we still hold that title.
A badge of honor, I would imagine.
Oh, but hey, liquor making is old as the hills around here. They've been making liquor. Oklahoma has got some laws because it was a territory and it was Prohibition put in place, and then part of statehood, to come into the Union, Oklahoma had to guarantee to make Prohibition part of the Constitution for 21 years. And then Prohibition was not removed from the Oklahoma Constitution until 1959 by a vote of the people. All right, that was after 2 or 3 attempts. So, and then when they did that, Oklahoma was already in Prohibition before Prohibition hit the United States. In Southeast Oklahoma especially, they already had the bootleg system set up. So when the whole country went into Prohibition, those guys, they just started shipping everything to Hot Springs and sending it north. And this area flourished during Prohibition because the systems and the infrastructure was already set up in place for making moonshine, illegal booze.
You guys were ahead of the curve, so to speak.
They were very good at it, and then after Prohibition, it died down. But, Hochatown Distilling is the first legal distillery formed in the area of Oklahoma formerly known as the Indian Country. So that's going to go all the way north up through Tulsa, the eastern half of the state, and some of the southern part of the state. And we barreled the first bottle of bourbon and produced that. So, yeah, we're kind of late to the bourbon game on a national scale, but you know what? We were early to the bourbon game for Oklahoma. And when we started in 2015, you could not even sample someone at your premises. Let alone sell a bottle to them or something, So we changed all that.
Well, Tommy, I have to say, I have a bone to pick with you a little bit. Because
I was going to say something nice, Tommy, but Gavin, he's a rough customer.
Right. I come from Oklahoma. It's what happens. You get 2 Okies a talking, and things start happening. So I knew a bit about the lack of legalized distilleries in Oklahoma. And I didn't start my whiskey adventures until really and truly till after college. And I enjoyed some whiskey, but I really didn't understand it and get into it quite so much.
When you were working and could afford it?
Yes.
I was ahead of that curve.
Yes.
We were drinking whiskey in college.
I mean, we were drinking some whiskey, but we weren't drinking, and I wasn't thinking about the good stuff, right?
It was quantity over quality for sure.
For sure.
At that age.
I started on Canadian blendeds and Cokes and Mountain Dews, so here we are.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
I actually have a process and a journey that I can predict someone's path on their bourbon journey. Because I walk that down path myself, So,
but the story that I tell is, so I lived in Scotland for a bit with my wife back in 2012 and 2013. And that's really where I started venturing into distilleries and understanding the craft and really nerding out with whiskey and the hobby. We landed at the airport in Tulsa. The first thing we did is we went to Brahms and got a burger and shake, because obviously you don't have that in Scotland.
Oh yeah, hey, that Brahms Union burger's pretty good. And
it's the only thing wrong with Scotland that I can find
is there's no Brahms right now.
Yeah, well, it's tough once you get out of Oklahoma. There's not many Brahms.
Yeah, that's right. So we're sitting there eating our Brahms burger, drinking our shake. And I look at my wife and I'm like, I want to open Oklahoma's first legalized distillery in the Stillwater Perkins area.
What year was this?
That would have been in 2013.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
That's why I said we have a bone to pick.
Yeah. Hey, Wonderfolk was the second one, but the first one, and they formed in 13. But they formed under a different name, so they've changed ownerships.
So do you remember what that name was?
If you weren't asking me, I could. Before Wonderfolk, it was. All right.
Tommy, that makes two of us because I have no idea what the name is.
I'll think of it sometime in this podcast, and I'll blurt it out.
He's going to gloat. He knows. I can guarantee it.
Well, if I wasn't trying to think, I talked to the owners of it.
But man, I think we may have a common friend who owned Oklahoma Distilling. Was it Oklahoma? Hunter Gamble.
Yeah, Hunter Gamble. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know Hunter very well.
So Hunter and I have talked on the phone. Oklahoma Distilling. That was it, wasn't it?
Yep.
Was it Oklahoma Distilling?
I believe so. I believe that's what
I spoke with Hunter a time or two just early on, and they were marching forward and doing their thing, and that's good. And we were kind of marching forward and doing our thing. It was good. One thing I'll say about Oklahoma distillers is that we all get along really good with each other. And I mean, hey, if one of them calls me, I make a point to talk. I'm an open book. They are too. We're all that way with each other. So our Oklahoma distillers are, pretty good. You get in the wine people and you get over into beer people, that can be a different story. But the distillers, we're a guild and we're a brotherhood, and because we're just, the laws have been so restrictive and all on us that there's never really been anything but just people. There's a few of us that are doing some work out here, but those guys have done a good job. They formed it. So good deal.
So we said we were going to spend a couple minutes talking a little bit about Hochatown, the area, Hochatown, the distilling company, while we enjoyed a splash of the small batch select bourbon.
Yes.
I have now finished my glass. It's time that we move on to something else. But I do want to say, this is not a formal tasting. This is not one of the bottles for the episode. We have two more that are coming. But it's quite tasty. Quite tasty.
Hey, I'm gonna brag on this for a second, because that bourbon you were tasted was made out of 3-year aged bourbon, anywhere from 3 years to 3 years and 9 months of adding of those barrels and used to make that blend. That says a tremendous amount, I think, to the ability of pot stilling, doing your cuts by hand, and knowing your craft and knowing your climate, knowing your environment. You can get a product that tastes like that in that short a time. Now we're aging on, and we're going to drink some ones that are older as you've gotten, but it's actually pretty amazing what I think we get out of that. That was named VinePair called that if you come to Oklahoma and you buy a bourbon, look for that bottle right there, small batch select. That was the one they said to buy, and that's our number one seller here at the distillery. It's a 104 proof. It's awesome for old fashions. That's what we make our old fashions of. Yeah. That is Oklahoma's old fashioned right there. It is and the thing about them is, they're all distilled, aged, and bottled right here on site by us. Every bit of it.
I love that, and you can tell we've enjoyed it a bit.
Considering we received the bottle 2 days ago, we've really been working on this one.
Hey, that's why I sent them little ones too, so you can take them and enjoy them with you. The little 200 ml half pints.
They struck me as like lunchbox bottles.
Oh,
which
they're
is
awesome.
probably not what my office wants to hear. But.
No, your office is okay with it. Trust me. I know your office very well.
One of the podcasters that I do every January with, they took some of those and went to one of, you know how they all gather up at the liquor stores, and for the opening and the release and all that. And they took them little bottles and started handing them out in the crowd and everything. And they were like, where the hell did you get this? So,
I love the concept. We'll talk a little bit about gift shop purchasing and stuff like that at the distiller here in a minute. But yeah. Okay. So we should go to bottle number one, official bottle number one.
Right.
Which is Gavin's. It's not me.
Yeah, it's me. I got one more little sip here.
Hustle, Gavin. He gets to talking and stops drinking. That's
all right. Bottle number one. Are you ready, Blue?
I'm ready.
The little bottles.
All right. This is the little bottles. This is the Bottle and Bond.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one right there. Yeah,
here, I'm going to try to do this where you can see the label.
I can tell you guys, the Bottle and Bond is that's a real special bourbon because
oh my gosh,
that's just for us. That's Oklahoma's first Bottle and Bond bourbon.
God,
and we get a question all the time: what's Bottle and Bond mean? All right,
yeah. So we actually. When we first started the show, Gavin spilled all over the place. He's gonna get a bandana out and clean up. Oh
man,
he's
abusing bourbon.
Gavin's rule.
This is my rule.
Gavin's rule is that anything that gets spilled becomes cologne.
Oh,
and right now, Gavin could disinfect most of his body for surgery with the amount he poured on the table. So we absolutely agree with you on the question of what is bottled and bond. So I think we were 4 episodes into the show before we said we need to clarify a handful of the terms that show up on labels, and bottled and bond is one of them that often comes up as people didn't really understand what it was. And ultimately it was a benchmark for what makes a trustworthy bourbon way back in the day, right? Not to suggest that anything that's not bottled and bond is untrustworthy now, but that was the premise. And the really fun part for us now is when you sit down with a bottled and bond, you know about its aging, you know about its proof. It's very easy to sit multiple bottles in bottles in bond. I don't know what the right way to pluralize that is. But if you're going to sit
bottled
down,
and bond is the act name, so it would be
so
bottled and
bonds?
bottled and bond bonds.
Yeah, so you can sit down with
bonds.
You can sit down with multiple bottles and understand that the difference in proof is taken out in those various releases. Aging is very similar in those releases. It gives you a benchmark to say this is as close to a apples to apples kind of comparison I can get from place to place, which is always a fun way to taste stuff. So
yeah. Well,
I will say first, thank you for sending these.
That's one of the reasons why we never, in that 2.5 year wait, never sourced or anything. And I understand people are doing it, getting cash flow, but we never sourced because we want our bourbon to be our flavor, our profile. When you taste our bourbon inside Hochatown Distilling and you're getting those grains that we use, you're getting our climate, you're getting the barrels that we pick, the regions and specific regions where these barrels come from, and then the aging process and the cut. You're getting our craft right there, and as you know, you're not getting someone else's craft. You're getting our craft and developing a palate for our craft.
So, Tommy, can you talk to us a bit about? We talked a bit about the history of Hochatown, the town, and the area in Broken Bow, and we talked a little bit about how the distillery got started. But I want to dive in just a little bit of because it always intrigues me how people start something like this, right? Like you had an entire career. Your brothers had in careers. All what is it? Is it Nathan? Is that
no? Mitch and Mark and Nathan, and Nathan had it back. Yeah, Nathan's a good friend of ours. We own business and stuff together.
So how did you come from all of four of you kind of having separate careers and then venturing into this adventure together, into whiskey? I mean,
Tommy, go on.
I'm gonna warn you. Gavin's already let it slip that he wants to start a distillery, so he may be taking notes.
Come on,
so
brother.
Don't give away any trade secrets.
Here. I'll teach you how to distill. I'll let you work with our guys. Come on. I'm serious. Come on.
I'm far better at the sales side, at the bottle end of the business, than probably the grain going into the hopper at the front.
Now we just need.
Where are you going to go? Stillwater?
Well, so I actually have I'm part owner of a family farm in Perkins.
Oh yeah.
So we've got 100 acres between Stillwater and Perkins. Natural spring fed, waterfall, the whole thing.
You should do it.
I'm in.
You should do it. Hey, and there's some things now. I mean, that if I were doing it in your shoes, I ain't gonna tell you. Everybody wants to give you advice, but at least I've walked that trail myself, and where I see the market and where the opportunities are in the market, and how to kind of tailor and gear what you're doing. I'd love to have that conversation someday with you.
Well,
I will teach you how to make hand sanitizer.
I will tell you that. I will tell you this. When we were sitting there eating our Brahms burger and our chocolate shakes, and I was telling my wife, "Hey, I want to open up a distillery," she looked at me and she goes, "Where are you going to find that money?" Like, she's a engineer and thinks about it.
That's what you got her for.
Yeah,
come on.
I need an engineer, in the chemistry world.
Yeah.
To talk to an industrial engineer and. Sweet talker.
It sounds like you need a better salesman to talk her out of that.
Your wife's an industrial engineer?
Yes.
And she graduated from OSU?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, engineers can talk with each other on a whole. Mitch is a chemist, and myself, we'd have so many conversations on levels about bourbon, and we would sit. Every 4 o'clock every day we'd meet for a drink together, and we were both working here and all that. So we had almost a year and a half of process to get our plan for what our mash bill was going to be, because we started with this. We were going to make bourbon whiskey, and then as we start learning and really getting into it and working with it. It's like you never really understand anything till you work with it with your hands and make it and produce it. And we just learned our way through it. Well, we had an old saying that we always talked about, just work behind your learning curve. Don't get out in front of your learning curve. And you can't learn all this at once, and stay behind your learning curve. Because if you make a mistake with beer, it's a 2 month, 3 month setback. You make wine, okay, maybe a 6 month setback. You make a mistake with whiskey, it's a 5-year setback or 3. And by then you've got so much put up. If it's not good, then it's a struggle because you're trying to launch a brand. And so there's a lot of risk on the front end, especially for some people that didn't know had never done it before. And it just everything just happened. I can't even explain it myself. It just happened. And here, I'm very pleasantly surprised with where it's gone. And we always have the confidence, but until you get the validation that what we think, and we're small still, we're scaling, but we're small.
I do want to talk a little bit about size, but you mentioned moonshining in the territory or in the area.
Yep.
Were any of you dabblers in moonshine before you started the distillery, or you just said, nope, let's go for the big time right out of the gates?
We drank it.
Haven't we all?
Yeah.
And
consumer side
and Taylor had a family that had done it, but no, we didn't. The engineering and all that was. See, it's interesting. You can't unless you go work for a distillery. You can't practice making whiskey. Because it's the home distiller can't do it, so we couldn't practice because we were going through a licensing process, and the last thing we want to do is get busted for making whiskey. So we had to have our still before we could start actually making the whiskey and distill it. And so, and Mitch he was a stickler, and it's just that was the process that it had to occur, to be legal.
From a business standpoint, how rough are those first, probably not just 3 years, probably first 4 or 5 years, where you spend all this time getting it produced, and now you're just waiting for it to be sellable, and then when it does, like, it's got to sell, because you've got years worth of expense and $0 of income.
Well, we had other jobs, meaning, tourism. We had a property management company. I left corporate America. I built cabins until I got enough built so I could leave corporate America to start a property management company, so I could build that property management company and then take that and build a distillery. So this area was real heavy in pop and growing, in 20% every year over year for 12, 15 years in tourism up until COVID, and then it doubled, and it's leveled down, but our tourism growth has been phenomenal here. So we were just taking part of that, with the building properties, selling properties. My brother Mark was developing land and some of the land development. So for us, really, it was what we looked at between the partners as a savings plan. It just setting money up, savings. And I don't know how. Somewhere in the middle of that, I managed to put a couple of boys through school and survive on the other side. But like I said, we were growing and everything was good, and it helped a lot, tremendous amount. So to be able to chase his dream,
So, in those first 5 years or so, was there a barrel that just was the one that got away that you're like, man, we were just really hoping that was going to turn out, and it didn't?
No, we've never culled a barrel, and we when we get ready to do a vatting or to get our bourbons sorted out and all, we'll do a tasting on them. We're tasting for single barrels, and if it's it may need a little more time, but our mash bill, our technique, our process has not changed since day one, and it's been. I'm a stickler for consistency in that, using the same grains, using the same everything. We don't change anything. And a stickler to that process, and it's gonna help you to get a good product that doesn't have a lot of flavor profile creep. If you notice anything about any flavor profile creep in ours, is because we're slowly aging out, and you start seeing the single barrels out in front of some of them, and we're going to be having some special releases that are coming out, of some 7 and 8 year bourbons and stuff. And there won't be a lot of them, but there'll be some as they start coming through. We'll start doing some pretty cool stuff with them and getting them to where people can drink them and try them, and we can, and just slowly age up through that process. But bottle and bond, you said earlier, for us was a real milestone for Mitch and I during the process, because we talked about milestone moments along the way, and getting your license, getting your still arrived, getting your first drippings off, barreling the first barrel. And we talked about many of those, bottling your first bottle, selling your first bottle, all those milestones. But for us, and for Mitch and I, for us to be able to produce a bottle and bond bourbon, that meant made to the standard of the bottle and bond. It had, you have to have your distilled spirits plant number on the bottle. Every bottle has your DSP number, and that's the only label that requires your DSP to be on there. That's why, and one of the reasons for us in the age of the production statement on a bottle, to have that look on the back of it. You're looking there, have that DSP number on there. That someone can't source a bourbon and release a bottle in bond. It has to be made by that distillery and aged at that distillery and meet all those standards. And for Mitch and I, that was when we really talked about the moment that we would feel like, we have at least arrived to a point to where we can legitimately say that that we're a distillery, we're a legitimate distillery, and we're making bottle and bond bourbon, repeatable. We've got quantities to sell, so that was a huge milestone moment for us.
Well, and we've talked about it a bit on the show. When you walk into a distillery, or not into a distillery, but when you walk into a bottle shop or a liquor store and you have options of a bottle and bond or a normal release, a lot of times I go to the bottle and bond because that there is legitimacy, that there is a government standard behind
Absolutely.
that bottle.
The government standard. And back in the old days, before that Bottle and Bond Act of 1897, by the time there was no 3-tier system in place. So, the whiskey was adulterated all along the way. I mean, people were cutting it, add tobacco juice to it. They were putting prune. They were cutting it to make more profit along the way. And so by the time it got to the consumer, well, what were you drinking? And that's what Colonel Taylor wanted to do, is make sure that juice that they were making was getting to the customers. And, that predates just by a few years all of our food safety and labeling laws, our Food and Drug Administration. And, so once again, it's shown throughout American history that whiskey, American whiskey in the course of our nation always leads the way in change.
That's right.
I could not have put it more eloquently than that.
All right.
So I have one kind of anecdotal thing that popped into my head as you were telling the story.
Here we go.
You were talking about all these wonderful moments in your life, or wonderful moments in the distillery's life, maybe would be a better way to put it. And it reminded me of a funny anecdote that actually ties to another distillery we've had on the show. So tell the audience, when your stills showed up, what else was on the truck?
There was a still on that truck to be delivered next from Boot Hill Distillery in Dodge City, Kansas.
Yeah.
They had a 500-gallon still, and I was like, we had a 250-gallon still. And I was like, man, but I'm glad we didn't get the 500-gallon still, because it was expensive to feed that 250-gallon still, right? And because you got to keep them running to keep staff and all that, So but they had a 500-gallon still on there, and I've followed their story ever since.
What a funny twist that the distillery we happen to pick to spotlight, Kansas, happens to have their still delivered on the same truck as our selection for Oklahoma.
And we didn't plan that whatsoever.
No, we literally didn't learn this until like 2 days ago.
Yeah. That's one of them life circle moments. This one, it's coming back around on you, life circling back around on you.
I'm going to just put it out there now.
Oh, geez.
That we're going to get Boot Hill and Hochatown and the NobleDram together.
Oh, that'd be
let's
awesome.
have some pours.
Yeah.
Those guys never met me. They probably never
Let's do it in Stillwater.
And that Stillwater's awesome. And you got to realize too, they probably haven't heard of us. I don't even think they know that our still was on the truck with them or anything.
That's too funny.
Because I've only told that story a time.
Now.
Well, I think the first time I've told the story was right here on this one, but yeah.
I would love to think that these guys anticipate every new episode of the NobleDram and sit patiently waiting for it to go live. But we will absolutely let them know that we have an overlapping shared story. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the bottled and bond.
Yeah. It's my bottle.
Here's what we normally do, Blue. We talk a little bit about the nose, the palate, and the finish. Gavin tells me what he tastes and smells, and I tell him he's wrong. It's this instead. But tonight you get to be the expert. So let Gavin and I hack at it like crazy, and then you tell us what we did wrong. Is that
all right?
You get to be the judge, jury, and executioner.
And since it's my bottle,
that means I have to go first.
You go first.
All right. So what I will say is that you can't help it when you do one pour and then you move to a next pour. Like you ultimately end up comparing the two between each other. And I will say, I thought the small batch select actually was a little sweeter on the nose, but I actually thought the bottle and bond was a little more elegant. And by that, what I mean is I think small batch had a little bit more vanilla, But when we moved into the bottled and bond, I got distinct butterscotch on the nose. Like reminded me of, I don't know if you guys were the same way, but Grandma had the little crystal bowls that she would make the pudding in and then put in the fridge and come out. And that was like the official dessert. And she used to love butterscotch pudding. And this reminds me of butterscotch pudding in a glass.
All right. So you're going with butterscotch.
Yep.
All right. So I think that it has a heavy cornflakes kind of nose to it.
Yep.
And not surprising with, I think, what you mentioned, 80% corn.
80% right? Corn in our mash bill. Yeah.
So I think that that cornflake note, because I do think that there's a sweetness to it. So maybe it is the, they're great.
No, so this is a problem we've been having for quite some time, Blue, and I'll let you in a little secret. Gavin often tastes or smells a flavor at the wrong time. Because Gavin's absolutely right. There is a ton of sweet corn notes to this. Absolutely reminds me of cornflakes on the palate. The nose has much more of a buttery creaminess to it. So I could not agree with Gavin more. The idea of like a sweet cornflake, that corn really comes screaming through on the palate to me.
On the palate, I think it tracks, but I also think there's a bit of a dusty hay note that I get out of it.
It's like he's reading my notes a step ahead. Yeah, for me, the palate is where the kind of the spicy bite that shows up. Right? The proof is really misleading on the nose and the palate. It sips and nose is less than 100 proof. But on the finish, I get it, right? The tongue tingles a little bit. There's that kind of spicy notes. I think some of the baking spice starts to show up a little bit on the finish. And yeah, I'm with you. You're just off by one time. Like one tick. I think you get ahead of yourself and start writing them down too early.
On the palate, I think it's got a long finish. I put that's where the baking spice was coming out. And I think it's almost like a black pepper that I'm also getting. Like that spiciness really shows up, and I think it's like
I'd have said white pepper, but go on.
I really don't.
Are y'all ready?
I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah. Or were we right?
Well, absolutely. I mean, you're both right. That's the issue. You're both right.
What are you, Switzerland over there, Blue? Come on now.
We're both right.
Hey, look, guys. I think of it from a perspective of how we built our bourbon. Because this is the same mash bill as the small batch select y'all just drank. It'll be the same mash bill of any of our bourbons. We have the unique mash bill.
You're at least one more year of aging in the bottled and bond.
Yeah, and everything, right? All that juice has to be 4 years old in there. And and I'll tell you, the first bottle that you were drinking, our small batch select, has juices aging from three years to 4 years, right up to 4 years. But I think that right now the deal is aging, slow down the bourbon sales. They're talking about the number of years, and that's important when you're mass producing bourbon. But when you're taking bourbon like we are, and you're pot stilling it, and you're running it through a hybrid still with 6 plates, and you're doing all your cuts by hand, and our distillers, we all know where we make our cuts, and we're able to get them real fine detailed cuts. And then when we go into the barrels with our climate, we're not having to age out whiskey not only to get the oakiness into it from the wood sugars and the tannins, but you're also having to get a finish off of your heavier tailings that you don't cut out when you do continuous distillation. And those tailings have to oxidize and age out, and they take a longer period of time. So you got two factors that you're having to balance there: aging of your tailings and oaking out of your bourbon. And if you're in a bad climate, it's hard to match those two up. But the climate that we're in right here allows us to, and it removes that variable after we've hit a couple of, when we're starting to get into these 3 and 4 years, we've minimized that variable that you have to worry about these tailings, and we can start focusing on the oakiness and the profile of the bourbon itself.
Yeah, I can't think of a better way to explain one of the problems I've inherently had with Texas whiskey than that description right there.
You're not the first person.
It is either youthful and rough, or too oaky, right? But the way you describe that balance,
and I can tell you why it's that way, because you got to realize too, they were pioneering an industry. All right, they were 20 years ahead of us, and they were getting so much angel share loss that it was affecting the economics of the barrels. So to minimize angel share loss, they had to change that surface area where the absorption happened, where the angel share loss occurred, and the volume of whiskey in there. So when they shrunk down to the 30-gallon barrels, they changed that volume to surface area ratios. And our palates, we're all trained on 53-gallon barrels out of Kentucky. That's what we're trained to taste. Mm-hmm. And they were going to those smaller bottles or smaller barrels to minimize the angel share loss, but they were causing some oaking issues and stuff on it. And so then they started going back to the bigger ones, and I think they're, but it probably took them 10 years to kind of figure that stuff out. And that climate that they're in some of them South Texas ones, where it's dry and hot, those are tough climates to age whiskey, and you get a harsher type whiskey. Nothing, and I don't mean to use harsh in a bad way. You just get that oaked, and if you like oaked bourbons, those are awesome. But I think our bourbon tastes more and follows more of a Kentucky style bourbon when I say that, and I don't say that lightly, trying to claim we're like Kentucky. We're not. But what we do is we have a very Kentucky-like climate with more hot days and more humidity, and so we have a little bit extended aging season on both sides. Our average annual temperature is higher, which that drives oxidation reactions that break down all the wood sugars and the tannins and everything in the bourbon to mellow it out. And I don't want to get too nerdy or too technical here, but those are the things that are happening. And so when you take a climate like what we have, where we've got high humidity, so that driving force between your angel share loss and humidity, the higher your humidity is versus, the inside of that barrel is 100% humidity. It's moist. It's wet. So that acts as a drive. The lower humidity is a greater driving force for angel share loss, which affects your economics of your barrel. Primarily, it can flavor and enrich the taste, but that's got to be a balanced thing over several years. You think about Kentucky, they get a 3.5% angel share loss a year. We're getting around 4.5 to 4.75 or so % a year angel share loss here. So that tells me that we've got a very similar profile. I mean, I took with Mitch and I extrapolated out the average ambient humidity and the average ambient temperature between Louisville and here, and predicted some aging on it to Mitch. And I said, I think somewhere around, we're going to get around, or the percent angel share loss. And my guesstimate was 4.75 to 5 here. And it's come out between 4.5 to 4.75 just by extrapolating that data and then making a prediction on what I thought it would be. This was on the front end before we started aging 3 and 4 years and knowing what we would have.
That's awesome. So much like what Aaron and I do for our full-time jobs, there's an art and a science to it, right? And so whiskey making, and this is what I didn't know until really diving into it, is there is a marriage between art and science. There's a distinct science that comes with
absolutely it is,
but then there's also the art side of it, and knowing how to cut, what to cut, when to cut, knowing the percentages of angel shares, all of those things come into play. And so it's not just throwing it in a barrel and praying that it's going to work out. I mean, and that's when I asked the question about, was there a barrel the one that got away? Because to me, that's like where my anxiety would sit, is I put the juice in the barrel and then I have to sit and wait to see what happens. Mm-hmm. And I don't like not having the wood in my hands of captaining my own ship, right? Like I don't like that. And so whiskey making is a lot of you put the juice in the barrel and then you release the helm to nature and you let nature take the helm and run with it.
But I think
it's a game of patience.
Yeah.
But Blue, to your point, it isn't a complete crap. He's not buying a lottery ticket. He's doing everything he can to rig the game in his favor. He's doing everything he can on the front end to make sure the barrel tastes good when it comes out. Is it a perfect science? No, by no means, right? Like some seasons are hotter, some seasons are wetter, right? Whatever. But he's doing everything he can on the front end to guarantee quality on the back end. So
I mean,
yes, there is. Does every farmer prays for rain, right? Like I get that, but to some extent, like how you handle your field ultimately dictates your yield, and how you make your decisions on where you do your cuts and what proof you barrel in at, and all of those ultimately create a tasty barrel.
Well, I mean, it's just like opening a distillery. Like you can do everything you want, but you have to have the follow through, right? Like you have to have the follow through to make it work. So,
all right.
So, guys,
we need to give this one a number, Blue.
Well, let me. Can I just add one thing here?
Yeah, of course.
What I was going to tell you, when I told you were both right. You got to go back to how we built the bourbon, the mash bill, and 80% corn. That's a little bit higher than normally you see 78 or what. But what we wanted though was we wanted a little bit sweeter. Because we were going with rye, and the ryes that we like are we were looking at different rye grains, and I don't know if you ever looked at the star diagram of the flavor profile for rye, but man, there were the rye that we used just had these two huge arms on the star profile going out toward sweetness and caramel. So we were like, oh heck yeah, that's the one we want right there. And so that's the rye that we use. It's a brewer's rye. It comes out of Germany, but it's a rye grain. But it has that sweetness and caramel. So that's when we decided to really kind of go with that a little bit higher in that mash bill on the corn. So because that kind of gives us a little bit baseline, a little bit higher baseline of sweetness, and it's really going to let that rye pop on the rye side and get some of those flavor profiles. So I think maybe that caramel, maybe where you're getting that butterscotch. And then that corny flavor, and I hate to say corny because I don't like corny bourbon, but we're corn, and if it's distilled, you got to have that baseline of sweetness to it.
I know he's pretty corny too. So
yeah.
No,
so
if you haven't picked up on it in the first hour we've been chatting, like it's coming still. Like,
well,
several more corny jokes.
Yeah, it tastes like bourbon, not corn whiskey. We make a great corn whiskey, by the way.
No, and you're right. I think there is distinct notes of corn. It is not over corn.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There are a handful of straight corn whiskeys that it tastes like woody moonshine, right? Because it's got way too much of the grain in there. But I
get a group of people that love that though. I know they're small. But and the thing is, the corn but they're usually from Arkansas,
Right,
they like that corn liquor. They like that corn liquor.
Why don't you tell them the score? Tell them the scoring scale.
We'll do a quick rundown for those. We do this periodically on the show.
All right.
All of our scores are based upon how much you would pay to drink it. So anything under 60 is undrinkable swill, and even if you gave it to me for free, we wouldn't sip it. Trust me, it's not a range you need to worry about today. The 60s to 70s imply I would be interested in drinking it if somebody else bought it for me. 70s, I'd absolutely be interested in purchasing a glass, but I don't know as if I need to own a bottle. 80s to 90s are own bottles. 90s, I would kick a person out of a wheelchair to get in front of them in line to go get that bottle. It's that good. It's exaggerating, but yes. So that being said, I get to give a number first.
Yes, and I put my pen over my number so you can cheat.
I already wrote mine down, and
All
I'm
right.
picking my pen up. So I'm at an 84. I think this is a very, very tasty. When I say quintessential bourbon flavored bourbon, I like this one. I like this one. This is. I don't know if I'm roughing up people in line, but at the same time, like I'd love having one of these on the shelf. I'm a little sad. The only bottle I have is a little. I kind of want a big bottle of this one now. Now I got to be on the lookout for it.
It's a very great utility quality bourbon. You can take that anywhere, any friends tasting or anything. You know somebody's not going to have it. Nobody's ever tried it, but a bottle of them are going to be, oh, I've heard about that, you know.
Yeah.
I send bottles to different friends, people buying them and stuff, and they go to these friends tastings and all that. And I've even got some, you know, they go to some of these state meetings and different things, you know, and we win, you know, and that's the feedback I get is we win. And they all want to know when you're bringing back some more of that back, you know. So, we're very happy with what you said and where we are. We think that's a fair assessment.
So often a bottle that is big and bold and does something crazy will make some people love it and some people hate it. Right? To your point, I think there is nothing about this bourbon that if you like bourbon, there's nothing about this bottle that you wouldn't enjoy. Which I think is a ringing endorsement for it.
Yeah, here's where I say you play. Where does this fit in your personal bar? You know, I mean, this is awesome. This bourbon is great in a bourbon dominant cocktail, an old fashioned. You know, if you're doing a bourbon Manhattan or a bourbon Manhattan with the Morrow, a black Manhattan is just outstanding on that. If you're doing I kind of like paper planes, you know, but it being the bourbon in a paper. So any bourbon type dominant cocktail, it goes great in. But you can also pour that thing on a rocks glass and put it on an ice cube or do it, and it's going to drink just fine. That 104 proof's going to hold up, and you're going to get a good, nice flavor profile all through that drink and not water it down.
All right, so Gavin needs to tell you a score, and he's going to just give it one higher than mine.
I'm going to actually give. What were you, an 84?
I was an 84.
All right, I'm at an 86. I think this is, you know, it's that fastball. We talk about some baseball analogies sometimes on the show. Mm-hmm. I think that's the fastball right down the middle, maybe off to the side just a tad bit. Meaning, like I think it's a little bit above that average for right down the middle. It's utilitarian. It's you can do all the things you just said. You can put it in a cocktail. You can drink it straight. You can drink it with a tad bit of water. You can drink it on ice.
It's a utility infield bourbon. It can play any position. It can go in drinks. It can be neat. It can be with ice.
Yep.
If you could only have one bottle of bourbon, that's the kind of bourbon you would like to have on the shelf.
Like the proof, actually, to me, drinks just a little bit warmer than like 100 proof, right? So I think it will stand. We haven't tested it tonight. I think it would stand up to an ice cube and a tad bit of water if that's what you needed. So to me, it's delicious. Like I'm gladly get to say that this bottle's coming home with me. So I'm excited to be able to sip on this and try it in those different fashions, right? Like with a cocktail,
in the old kind of fashion.
You know me.
But
you know me.
All right. So we're going to go to bottle number 2. But first, got a quick little message. Gavin's got wonderful news for everybody at home. So we'll catch you guys in just a sec.
Oklahomans love to give back, let me tell you. Hochatown Distilling Co. has secretly provided a couple bottles for us to be able to give away. Head over to TheNobleDram at Facebook and Instagram for your opportunity to win a couple of the things that we tasted tonight. I would love for nothing more than you to fall in love with Oklahoma whiskey. Go Pokes. Welcome back, everyone, to the amazing episode with Hochatown Distilling Company.
It's my favorite part. Bottle number 2.
Bottle number 2.
Well, technically, bottle number 3.
Technically.
But score number 2.
All right. Well, I'm going to put this one to the side.
Yep. So, we're gonna do something slightly different than we normally do. And
What?
This is based on Blue's recommendation. The next bottle packs a wallop because this is the barrel proof. So, Gavin, if you would be so kind, I brought us a nice little shaker of ice and a couple of glasses. Put a couple cubes in each glass. I'm going to pour us a neat, and then we'll pour us a little bit over ice, and we will do a dual comparison, if you will, Blue.
All right. 3 to round it off.
3 cubes each.
3.
My goal after all the hateful things I said about Gavin spilling is my goal is to not spill.
To not spill it.
Look at this, Gavin. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
I just hoping you drop that Glencairn.
Blue, tell us a little bit about the barrel proof.
Well, I wish I'd have sent y'all a big bottle. It is available.
You can still do that. It's okay.
All right. Barrel proof,
Yeah.
we only have that here at the distillery, and we'll take some of our a little bit older barrels for us. They're all 4 years old on it, but I may dip down if I need to, but we're all on this one was everything above it. When we go into the barrel at right at 125 proof is when we go into the barrel at 124 and change always. And interesting enough, kind of getting back over to that climate thing for people that really, on bourbon, when you're starting to see a lot of good information coming about how the proof changes with your climate and different things. And in 4 years, we'll gain somewhere around 0.25 to 0.75 proof share gain, less than 1% to proof, So that's actually I think that's pretty good because we're getting a little more proof and we're not losing too much. But you evaporate on your water side, not your alcohol side, based on your climate. So we take a 4-barrel. It's small. It's a 4-barrel blend of some of our nice 4 and 5 year old bourbons, and we'll put those, not a blend, a blend, and we'll put those together and then we bottle it. It's not filtered other than the particulate size filter. It's like all of our bourbons. So we just filter for particulate sizes. We got a small little micron filter, but we're not doing any chill filtering or anything like that on them. If you come to our tasting room where the bottles have been sitting for a day or two, you can look and see the little ghosts dancing around in the bottom of them. And that's the good stuff right there is what I call it. You just turn it upside down and it goes back into solution, but it just kind of a little ghost in there. That's what I call it. So, you guys are drinking it neat.
Is the proof vary from batch to batch, or do you guys batch to I'll say relatively consistent proof? When
you bottle a spirit, you say you're going at 90 proof, you've got a little bit of variance there that you can be over and under that falls within an acceptable standard. So hold on.
Back up. This is answering a question we've had on other issues. What is that variance?
Oh gosh, you had to ask me. Google it. It's like plus or minus. I think it's 2 points. So you could go plus or minus a couple of points on it. So if it's 90, it has to be like 91. It could be 89 to 91 because you also have fill variances, based on the size bottle and stuff. And I always get the 2 crossed, and I have, the percentage that you can go. So I always get the 2 crossed, and I always have to look it up myself. But you got a little bit of variability there.
I need something in every episode. I need something that I have to go look up, and I can put on the screen. So I will go find out the answer to this one, and I'll put it on the screen.
Tied to that, does Hochatown, and I think I know the answer, but does Hochatown have a hazmat release? Like over 140
This is as high proof as we've got right here. We're not above. Is your definition of hazmat above 125?
No, 140.
140. We've never made a hazmat. Probably never will. I mean,
Does any of your stuff actually move that far up?
oh no. We get about less than 1%, maybe about 1 to 1.5 proof points movement to get higher alcohol in a 4-year period.
So you'd have to go in the barrel at a much higher proof.
We go in at 124,
get,
just under 125.
Okay.
And that was kind of a guess on the front end, because if you've got a climate that's hotter or ages out and takes longer to age, maybe a little bit colder climate, you may have to adjust that proof down. That's why you see some of them northerners doing a 115 or 110 barrel proof entry, because they don't want to over in the extra time that it takes to age that out. They don't want to over oak it. So they're wanting to back off of that oak profile and reduce that solubility of the ethanol that's extracting the sugars and the tannins.
That's fair. So I want to dive in a little bit to a bit about kind of where you see Hochatown maybe in like 20 years. Like, what are you hoping? This is a fun question I like to ask people, because, in your career, it's like, where do you want to see yourself? And you're sitting at the table.
You've been in business 10 years. Forecast the next 20 real quick for us, Blue.
Yeah. Kind of where do you see it? Like, what are you thinking? Like, what's in your head?
Well, I'm a little bit long in the tooth. I started the whiskey making game a little bit of age on me, but it was one of them things where you can't do it when you're too young because you don't have the patience. You got to wait till you're old enough to get the patience if you don't grow up in the industry. So, we used to think, we want to be the biggest thing out there. You know what? We've got a pretty simple goal, is that you take the footprint of the population that we draw into Hochatown for their vacation. We're going into that North Texas market, Oklahoma, a little bit of Arkansas, the Louisiana market. That geographic footprint, I'd like to have a good presence in that footprint. And, it's easy to get pigeonholed by distributors and all that kind of stuff. And we're just going to focus on carving out our niche. We've got some laws changed in Oklahoma where we can do tune on adjacent locations anywhere in the state now. So we want to expand our brand through that throughout in the other parts of the state, maybe up in the city or something, looking at different things. We're not going to, that's a full market. Everybody's got their national bourbons and they all get, that's okay. It's not realistic to break into that, but that's really not where we want to be. We want to sit here and focus. We're in a great area, just making some good quality bourbons. We've got a 250-gallon still coming in. That'll put us up to about 40 to 50 barrels a month that we can produce, and that's a lot of bourbon, especially if you're selling in a region like this. And we got a lot of laws stacked against us. In Oklahoma, you can't ship with in or without, so we go through Texas to be able to ship out, to get bourbon to people. But that whole, the whole market, the whole whiskey market's in a very unsettled area, especially for big whiskey. They're getting hit pretty hard by a couple of different factors, and it forces down into us. That's why you see a lot of stuff hitting the shelf, especially in Oklahoma, the allocated states, and you're seeing more stuff at a cheaper price, and because they're flooding the market with older bourbons. But they were sitting on those bourbons all the time when they were allocating stuff, and it's just something to just be aware of what's happened. We just have to put good bourbon out to the bourbon consumer, and here's what we are, and we're going to give you our best every day.
There's no hiding, right? I mean, you're just putting out good bourbon.
That's what we try to do.
One of the things I find, as I've gotten older, right? When I was young, I wanted to take over the world, and I wanted to be the best thing there ever was.
You mean you're not a young whippersnapper?
No, I'm neither young nor a whippersnapper either. But like as I've gotten older, I kind of just want to enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
If that pays the bills and makes me happy, like perfect. That's all I really can ask for. So I absolutely understand that. So one of the things that you guys do that I think is really fun, Gavin and I talk about this idea even within the podcast, is like kind of owning our backyard, right? Like how do we make sure that people close by know our name? In the distillery world, you guys have kind of done some partnering with area universities and organizations and even country music bands and said, like, how can we make product with you guys? For those who don't know what some of those connections are, can you kind of run through some of those guys you've partnered up with?
We did a partnership initially with Oklahoma State University, and we do still continue that partnership with them. And that was the first launch, 3 years ago. And that was when this, university partnering, different things come out. This was really early on in that. Kansas State had done it the year prior, with Boot Hill. This is another Boot Hill tie-in.
Yep.
And the people with OSU had saw what they'd done, and then they wanted to bring that to Oklahoma. And then that's how we got started up with OSU. So, and Boot Hill still does their stuff with with you guys. It was interesting. I watched the podcast and I saw some of the things they were saying about being difficult to get to the stadiums and different things like that because those contracts are controlled by national companies that have all the things lined up. And we face those same challenges and all ourselves. And those were some unexpected things, but we've had a great time launching different releases with OSU. And I'll tell you, OSU fans, here's a little interesting story. So after we did the OSU thing the first year, the people from down at University of North Texas, Denton, Texas, the Mean Green called. And at first I was like, I don't know if I want to do it, but they were such nice people. And the center of our tourism world population center is Denton, Texas. And I was like, why not? And so
that's where
we
the
did
money
that
comes
with them.
from.
And in our second year, and first year was great. That was, but it was a Chad Morris era. First, I think it might have been his first or second year. But then last year, Chad had quite a run with the Mean Green, and that team is now at Oklahoma State. So if you really want to have a good bottle of discussion for your personal bar, if you're an OSU fan, you need to get a bottle of the Mean Green Reserve that we sell right here. You can get in Texas a little bit, but we do a Mean Green Reserve, and that's the one that we did with Coach
before he was big, right? Like that's the point.
So there's a good tie in there.
I kind of feel like now we need a Mean Green versus Loyal and True and see where we land.
See, I want to cut off any misconceptions. The green paint that is on the walls behind us is Lagavulin Scotch green. It is not North Texas Mean Green. So I don't need.
No, that's just an anecdotal story here.
Yeah, I don't need fan mail about how great it is that we're supporting the Mean Green. I got a million of them. I have a brother-in-law who is a North Texas grad, and so anytime we get to beat up on the North Texas, I'm okay with it.
Denton, Texas is a pretty cool little town. It's a good college town, and they do a lot of neat stuff there. And that's been a fun project with doing that with them. So we do another collegiate with the University of Tulsa here in Oklahoma.
Okay.
They don't have a big fan base, but it's been good. It's been fun. And I'll say this, when we launched with the OSU, the original, the Fuzzy Chap Pete, we call it, that thing went huge. And our name recognition just shot through the roof overnight. So from a branding your distillery standpoint, that's been huge for us.
But isn't there a part of you, and I be careful, I'm not putting words into your mouth. Isn't there a part of you that just understands a good chunk of those bottles are bought as mantelpieces?
Oh,
And no one's ever going to drink that whiskey. And it's gotta hurt your heart just a little bit, doesn't it?
it does. And we discussed that. They're going to be mantelpieces, and that's okay. But we still put our bourbon, that bottle with the Loyal and True says distilled Asian bottled by Hochatown Distilling. That's our juice. That's good juice. But you also got to think of it as those bottles are kind of a repository of some great bourbon from a young distillery that are always going to be around.
You just need to be able to drink it with somebody that's going to enjoy it.
Hey,
right?
win a natty in football, and I bet a bunch of them bottles will get drank that night.
Absolutely. Nothing like a good Fiesta Bowl to help boost bottle sales.
You might get that John Smith bottle out for the Fiesta Bowl or something like that. That's a great fun
here
bottle
we go.
that you've seen. The last release we did of that was the Wrestling Pete that's got on the front, and that's been a fun release right there.
Hang on. I think we might have one of those. I think we might have one of those.
I thought we'd gotten away from some of this.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. That's a special little bottle right there, isn't it?
It is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think there's even a signature on this one.
I told him if he just wants signatures on bottles, I'd sign anything he's got. But
here's where the OSU side. Here's where the OSU fans that are going to like this are gonna nerd out, though, is where other schools may not. But that's a John Smith signed bottle right there, signed by man, the legend himself, John Smith. He can do this now that he's retired, not with the university a little bit. I can tell you, he loves our bourbon, and I've had a chance to, meet him 2 or 3. We'll be at different things, but he does. He's bought a lot of our bourbon as giveaways, to his donors and all that. But he supported our brand from day one when we did this project.
I like the way you said he bought to give away. Not to imply that he drinks too much. He's bought a lot, but I'm sure he's given it all away.
Oh, yes. But he likes it too.
I'm not saying I don't give whiskey away. I absolutely do. I tend to give it away in glasses while people sit in the room with me, though.
Yeah, I get it.
We like to sip the whiskey as we give it away, so we get to partake in it.
I get friends bringing me bottles of different stuff. I put in my office, and I write on there, who gave it to me. So the next time they're back, I go dig that bottle out, and that's what we drink. That's when we drink it.
So, Blue, I was actually going to ask this question at the very end, but I'm going to ask it now, since you just brought it up. When Blue is not drinking Hochatown Distilling Co.
This is such a loaded question.
What are you drinking?
Yeah.
Well, say I'm at a bar I want to drink or something like that, or I can't find ours.
But you frequent an establishment that doesn't keep Hochatown behind the bar?
Well, unfortunately, when I'm up in the city, I have,
He means Oklahoma City.
Here's the thing. Yeah, Oklahoma City, the city. Here's the thing.
He's not a local. He doesn't know.
Hold up, Blue. I've been through the state. Oklahoma City is the city.
I know. Oh, it's what we call it. It is the city. Yeah. If I can't get my bourbon, and we're getting a little better in a lot of places, but if I can't get my bourbon, I'm going to go to a rye bourbon. So, if I'm going to do it, I don't know. I love Turkey 101, anything by Knob Creek, the Knob Creek 110, like 7 or 9 years old. That's a good bourbon right there. Those are my 2 favorites probably right there. It's not that I don't like some of the Sazeracs brands and all that, but I'm just, there's some real, and those are good bourbons. It's just, I like the character and the profile that the Wild Turkey has, and some of the Knob Creek. They've been doing it a long time. They know what they're doing.
You're speaking to 2 big Russell's fans.
Yeah.
Hey, that's
you want to see yourself in 20 years to even be mentioned as within a sentence or two of that name would be an
No,
honor.
so
You know?
I like. I'm going to propose a 20-year plan.
Okay.
Take it if you want. In 20 years, Blue sits in the gift shop and just signs bottles as people
Heck
come
yeah.
through.
Yeah,
That's what he does all day long.
That's my goal.
Yes.
It's just shake hands, kiss babies, and write signatures. That's it all day long.
You know, when people come to the distillery now, especially on the Saturdays. I mean, I'm here every day, but most days. But I like to come up on Saturdays and have nothing on my plan but to actually meet people and visit with people and talk about bourbon with people. That's one of my favorite things to do, and people really appreciate it and like it. And we've got great tours.
We are really glad that we made the list of people you're willing to talk bourbon with.
That's right. Because that's what it's all about. Like everything that we do on the Noble Dram, everything that we strive to do is
everything I do in my day job is so I can come home and drink bourbon.
Exactly. Like we just want to sit and talk life on life, talk about bourbon, talk about what's going on in people's lives. Like the whole thing, the whole thing is so fun. And
I love the social aspect. It's the social aspect of it.
Yeah. I think
absolutely.
What ultimately created the concept of the Noble Dram is it's not so much the whiskey in the glass, but the guys around the glass that make the sip enjoyable. And so what we wanted was a show in which we got to talk a little bit, converse with people, get to know people, share life, if you will, with a glass in our hand.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, I'm trying really hard to keep us on. I'm trying. I shouldn't say keep us on track. Trying to get us back on track. Maybe be a better way to do this. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the barrel proof.
Yes.
All right.
This is technically my pour, which means Gavin has to start. So we did something different. We did something different with the on ice. So I think we should talk about it neat.
Yeah.
Then talk about what did ice do to that. Is that
Yes.
Blue? Do you think that's a fair way to put it?
Totally fair. Yes.
Okay. All right. So
on the nose.
Tell me how wrong you are.
On the nose, I think you immediately get that proof. Like
there is no hiding.
Like you're not even putting the nose in the glass and you can get that proof. And I like that. I like higher proof. Well, what I should say is I am much like a lot of the folks out there in this adventure, in this hobby, where over the years I have strived to get the higher proof stuff.
I think the phrase you're looking for is proof whore.
Proof whore. Yeah, if that's where we're going.
I know exactly where you're going with it. You're dancing around.
I wasn't going to say it.
I'm going to say what it is.
We might have ladies listening in, and I don't want to.
We're terribly
offend.
sorry. We're terribly sorry, dear. The one female viewer we have, we're terribly sorry.
We know we have at least two.
No, I don't think your mom watches.
No. Lauren watches in North Dallas, so we know.
Okay.
Lauren
That's true.
watches.
That's true.
The proof shows up on the nose right off the bat. When you come from the bottle and bond, you get the proof.
So we started at 104 and then actually dipped to 100.
Yeah.
This reversed course and went straight uphill.
We normally at our tastings, we'll do the 100 before the 104. But for here, y'all, we started. Yeah,
we're professionals.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, y'all are
professionals.
Exactly.
We went a little. We had a little dessert, or I guess we had entree before.
We had the entree before the appetizer.
That's right. Okay. That's right. So I think that there's the spicy note. There's a bit of a honey note that I got on it on the nose. Obviously, there's a pepper because of the spice, and then there's a little. I still got because we're still talking about the same mash bill, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Same mash bill,
I think
same
the part
aging.
that I'll be honest, that fact is the part I've had a hard time wrapping my head around while I've enjoyed this glass.
Yep.
This tastes to me like you've either come off the still at a different proof or a different, like this is distinctly different whiskey in the glass than the other two. The other two were kissing cousins. Like I totally understand how those are the same. This one is distinctly different on the nose.
Well, tell me what you got on the nose.
So I wrote down 2 words, and I wrote down hot and spice. And Gavin mentioned both of those. I'm with you in the fact that like there is a robust spiciness, and I think it's twofold. When I said spice, it was really 2 levels. There's just the sheer proof, right? Spice, which often comes through is like pepper kind of hot edge. But I think there's baking spice in this one that shows up that I didn't pick up in the other ones. I get a little clove, a little nutmeg, some cinnamon notes. Not over the top. They're very nicely balanced amongst each other. But yeah, there's both baking spice and heat spice that show up on the nose for me.
I couldn't disagree with any of that.
Yeah, I know it's because I'm right.
You know,
I think
I'm glad you said.
Tell you that I'm right.
Well, I'm glad you said balance, because early on, many discussions that Mitch and I had, and we had a good fortune to have a brewer around here who had a good palate, and we were doing a lot of tasting of bourbons with him, and he really turned us on to the concept of having like a balanced beer profile. And we really liked the thought of having a balance in our bourbon. We wanted it to not be, too forward, too backward. It needs to balance out. And this is high proof bourbon, straight out of the barrel. It is what it is. When we do our tastings on our tours and our flights, it's very common we start them at our 90 proof, which y'all don't even have. We have a 90 proof small batch. That's a beginner's bourbon, entry level bourbon. That's what I call it. That's a gateway. I call it a gateway bourbon. Okay, but and it's great in a non-bourbon dominant cocktail like a Arnold Palmer or a, lemonade and bourbon or something like that. It's great there. But as they drink higher proofs, because y'all don't have it, but our single barrel is I don't know if y'all have it, but our single barrel is proofed at 120 proof.
So I held my finger up because there is one. Oh, but it's not for this. It's for a treat we have coming in the near future.
Yeah, we can talk about it. You can show up, we can talk about it.
Keep your eyes peeled. Well, you'll find
single barrels are single barrels. I'd hate for you to judge me on one barrel. You could either overjudge me or underjudge me. That's that. So it's one barrel is what it is. But they're overall, it's the ones that we pick that we really like and have good flavor profile. So it's at a 120 proof. So people, as they drink through, they really start noticing, and we love the fact that to them, the bourbon gets more flavorful and better as it goes up in proof, which is not a natural reaction that people have that are not professional bourbon drinkers.
I would say we're professional.
No, we're amateurs. Nobody pays us to do this.
Amateur seeking perfection.
If you're out there and looking to pay somebody to drink bourbon, I am absolutely eligible for professional status.
What I like about what you just said, Blue, was when you find a new bourbon, finding it at barrel proof or at a higher proof, being able to dial it in to what you like, even if it is at a higher proof than what you typically like, being able to add that bit of water or an ice cube to it,
absolutely,
I think gives you that utility version of it that you're able to dial it into what you like. So,
but let's be honest. You go buy a barrel proof bourbon and you tell yourself, this allows me to set bourbon exactly how I want. And then you come home and that little bit of machismo and bravado shows up and you're like, well, that's for other people to put water into, not for a man like me. And then you just drink it the way it is, even if it's not exactly where you would like it the best. So I say some of that as a preface to how we're tasting tonight's
Yes.
whiskey. So, palate, Gavin.
Uh-huh.
So this, Blue, you need to understand, Gavin does this when he doesn't know what to say. He starts stretching and he like starts talking in circles around other stuff.
Hold on.
He doesn't have good palate notes and he's afraid we're going to ask him. That's what I
have
figured
the
out.
best palate note. Are you ready?
Hey,
Let's go.
yeah, all right.
All right. Are you ready for this, Blue?
I'm ready.
No, he's not ready. He's not ready for this.
The palate on this
Tasty. That's what
is a
he said.
hot Oklahoma summer day.
I don't think that's a compliment. I've been
Hey,
in
hey, hey,
Oklahoma
hey,
on a
hey,
hot
hey,
summer
hey,
day.
hey. Lock
That's
that
actually
up.
a good. Yeah. Holland Square Bells of hay.
So, in a weird way, on the palate, I got a lot darker flavors than I did on the other two. And by that, I mean like brown sugar, dark caramel, almost toffee kind of things going on. There's a lot of spice still, right? Even on the palate, the proof absolutely carries through. But there is a darker sugar note that I had not picked up on the other two. I don't know if that's just proof. Maybe it's a little bit of age. I'm not sure what's bringing that to the forefront. But yeah, this is, if you've ever had like a molasses cookie.
A molasses cookie.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Now that I say that out loud, it totally rings to me. All right. Finish.
I think it's long and spicy, and it is something that I really want and enjoy. It's almost like a
I totally believe that.
there's a cookie. It's not a molasses cookie, but I get where you're going
Ginger
with the
snaps.
cookie. Yes,
Ginger snap.
ginger
cookies.
snap cookie is what I got on that.
So this is one of those, Blue, where what I'll tell you is there's a difference between Gavin's palate and mine. Quite often we align, right? I understand that. Gavin really likes oaked, double oaked bourbons and stuff. He loves the screaming hot over oak Texas, and it's not my thing.
Let me gnaw on some oak.
On this one, I really enjoyed the nose and I really enjoyed the palate. The finish is where the wood shows up, and it, to me, is tannic. It really dries my mouth out. It really puckers me. This is where the caveat to leaning into putting ice in this, because none of what I just said on the finish of the neat whiskey shows up in the pour over ice. The pour over ice softens the finish into a much more beautiful, softer sweetness. And the tannic oakiness cuts way down for me.
I think on the finish of the iced version gives me a bit of a hint of working a field while baling hay.
Yep.
Like
There's a dustiness.
there's a dustiness to it. Baling hay and throwing hay up onto the trailer, which I did for many summers or areas. To me, I can get to that. So I understand what you're saying. When it's just dialed in on a little bit of ice, I think there's a little bit of that.
It's the dynamics of every one of these whiskeys is slightly different. What kind of saddens me about the drink when I put it on ice is it mimics a lot of the other releases we tried tonight, right? And I liked neat on the palate and on the nose. I liked that it was different. But man, it makes the finish so much better. Like, to me, the finish is lights out better with a couple cubes of ice. I'm also the kind of guy, at the end of a day, if I'm just sitting around enjoying a bourbon, right? I'm not critiquing. I like bourbon with a couple ice cubes. I like cold bourbon. It somehow makes it more refreshing to be a little bit chilly.
We are in Houston.
Yeah, that helps.
So there's a bit of this, like we live in a hot, humid climate most of the year. So when you get home and you've had a long day at work, you want something refreshing. So I 100% understand what you mean. I think there are those out there that are going to be like, oh my gosh, you water down or you put ice on your whiskey. But no, there's absolutely a reason to do that.
To our comment earlier about how climate impacts the aging of whiskey, it's a concept we haven't really discussed, but climate absolutely impacts the tasting of whiskey as well.
100%.
In my opinion. That neat pour needs a cold day to sip it.
Yes.
With ice, that's a hot day drink, right? Like that's a different time of year. The neat is somewhere between Thanksgiving and Valentine's Day, right? With
Thankful
ice
and love.
Yeah, with ice, I can drink it the rest of the year for sure.
No, I will disagree with you because we have talked about it a bit in the show, where there are just certain times where you want a certain kind of whiskey, and a lot of times peated scotches are in the summer of Houston are not the greatest time.
But that's what I'm saying. You
exactly.
agree with me. Don't disagree with me.
I disagree that we haven't talked about it on the show.
Oh, sorry.
Right. But because I think we have and we've hinted at it. I think there are certain times that you tend to go to certain whiskeys or certain dilution, if you will, to that, right? Like
it's a fun twist. And Blue, maybe this is a question for you. Is there a different proof point or a different whiskey stock that you prefer when we're talking cold weather versus warm weather?
Yeah, I mean, in the warm weather, a lot of times I like it a little more refreshing. So I'll do maybe our 90 proof bourbon and lemonade, something of that nature. Just something on the rocks, something, kind of just refreshing. Maybe a little spritzer or something in it, just something to kind of carbonate it just a tad or something. I do enjoy a drink like that. But I also enjoy sitting out there when it's 100 degrees outside, sitting on the back porch, drinking a bourbon neat. That's nothing more old bourbon whiskey drinkers from the late 1800s before air conditioning. That's how they drank bourbon, So it's awesome being drink. It's great being drank that way as well. I enjoy that. Nothing like sitting out there with friends and just got sweat dripping off.
You need a rocking chair.
Yeah,
you
got sweat dripping off your brow, and you're sitting there drinking bourbon.
Well, if you're going to go rocking chair, now you need a tobacco pipe.
You need to be whittling a stick.
Yeah.
You need a hound dog laying there next to you. I get it. Hold on. Picture the whole thing.
That's a country song in and of itself right there.
No, it is. It's a visual country song.
Yeah.
I got like 4 jokes that reminds me of, but we don't got time for them.
All right.
Corny or otherwise. All right, it's time.
Did you just say corny?
Well, you said I tell corny jokes, so I said corny or otherwise. I've got jokes.
All right.
They call them dad jokes now.
Gavin needs to give it a number.
All right.
So just so we're on the same page, I'm a father of 4. Gavin is a father of uno. He's got it easy.
Hold on.
Part of me.
Your last kid is about to swoon off to the nest or out of the nest.
Oh,
Mine just started kindergarten.
No, dude, I've seen it all. I am a battle-hardened veteran.
When you say I've got it easy,
I got 2 that have out of the nest.
No, he knows.
You've got it easy now. I'm just starting the adventures.
I've earned my vacation. I have earned my vacation. All right, so Gavin needs to give his number though.
All right.
I told you he's gonna figure out a way to not say his number as long as possible.
All right. This one, the barrel proof, I think it is hitting hard in a good way. It's something that I want on the shelf. I think it's long, it's spicy on the palate,
Give it a number already. Look at this guy. Stretch.
It's one of my favorite numbers. It's 88 miles per hour.
1.21 gigawatts.
Wow.
1.21 gigawatts.
He's ready to knock somebody down to get that ball.
That's right.
He's throwing elbows.
He's
right.
debating it. He's debating. At 88, you're debating it. Now, look. Now, I think I can get one.
That's a good sign because he's got to drive to Oklahoma to get this. This is not down the street. You got to want this one.
It's only available at our distillery.
I think that it is something that it's when we talked about the first pour being utilitarian. I think this is really
it stands out.
It's something you can put it on ice, and it gets it to a point that you might want it on a hot summer day. This is something that I want to sip on when it's chilly outside, and I'm sitting in my old man sweater, and I've got my tobacco pipe,
and a Werther's original,
in my pockets, and I'm about to twill it out and put it in. Like this is what I want to sip.
Blue doesn't know what an old man you are. I mean, you look young. I mean, beard color alone, you'd think I was older, but no, Gavin is much older at heart.
Yes.
So here's my question. Is this an 88 neat or an 88 with ice? Or are you where in that spectrum is that 88? Because I'll tell you where my number is next, and I want to establish that precedence.
It's an 88 neat. It's an 88 because it is something that I can use all year round, depending on if I'm putting ice on it, if I'm putting a dash of water in it, if I'm sipping it neat. All of those things, like to me, this is something I want to sip around a bonfire. Like in Oklahoma, like
trying to run the mosquitoes off.
Well, there's that. But like a pig roast, to me, this is something when it's cooler weather outside, neat at a pig roast would be phenomenal.
This is what happens. We get 3 pours in a night. Gavin gets very handsy in his gestures. This is the trouble.
Hey, right, if you want to only have 3 pours in a night, that right there is what you want. You know?
That's 2 in 1 for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so for me, this got the same score as the previous bottle. I'm at an 84, but for totally different reasons. And I'll say this: it's an 84 neat. I probably go up a point or 2 with ice. I actually think this gets better with a glass with a couple cubes. One of the problems tends to be you put ice into bourbon and it tastes like watered down bourbon. Ice in this glass actually brought everything exactly where I wanted it to be. So I think this actually moves up just a smidge. But in the name of science, if we're giving scores based upon me, I'm at an 84. This is absolutely an enjoyable pour. I will say, across the board, across everything we've tried today, one of the fears I had was that this would have a bit of that Texas youthful over oaked kind of thing.
Texas.
I'll be honest.
What?
I'll be honest. I'm not real familiar with most Hochatown products. Gavin has given me a bottle, and I've tried one of the lighter ones, and I absolutely enjoyable. Not one we sampled tonight, though. Right? I had no preconceived notions. I have been thoroughly impressed by the quality at which you guys are getting tasty bourbon in a very reasonable time frame. Like not running over oaked, not coming into youthful. Across the board, well done, Blue. Well done.
Thank you, guys.
So, Blue, how did we do?
Gavin gets a 0.
Y'all are right on it. I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, you get it. I mean, And I'll just say this:
why do you hate to say that?
As you're a little bit more mature in a bourbon. When I was a young buck, when I say a young buck, 20 years ago, a younger buck, I like that high proof. It was hill raising and 4-wheeler riding. I drank that high proof liquor. But as I've matured and gotten older, where I can enjoy things and learn maybe to pace down a little bit, no, I can't do that. I like it on the rocks a little bit. Bourbon to me, and this is a kind of been a personal growth for me even, is that I've really learned to enjoy bourbon a lot of different ways other than just neat and all that, but putting it with finding fine mixers and different things to put it with, when you're saying Aperols and things like that, and really exploring bourbon as a cocktail in itself has been probably one of the more pleasurable things that I've got to do myself, just in part of my own personal growth of how I like to drink bourbon and where I'm going with bourbon drinking and what I like to do with it. It's just really getting out and exploring some of those other great products that are out there that are made, from Aperols to Amaros to different things and mixing and bringing them in. They're all kind of bitters based anyway. So just really exploring that bitter side of bourbon and mixing that bitters with that sweetness and getting even out of that old fashioned and getting over some of those things has been some of the really pleasurable things that I've enjoyed, about drinking bourbon. And I really love the way our bourbons mix with those as well. And we were very fortunate that we nailed on some of the things and hit on some of the things that we had talked about. And you plan it and you hope for the best. And it was almost I feel that we kind of hit a really nice spot, because at the end of the day, you're going to know what Hochatown bourbon tastes like. Just like you know what Jim Beam, just like you know what any Russell brand. They all, a Maker's Mark, a Buffalo Trace. They all got that. They pick up that region and that style and that profile. And that's why really being true with distilling, aging, bottling on site and staying true to that path and following that path and not trying to shortcut things. And we didn't have a choice. We had to stay on that path because we had to change laws in front of us, to keep moving forward. So we couldn't do some of that stuff. It's been very rewarding and honest, and that's what we want at the end of the day. We're going to bring you a honest bourbon that you're going to enjoy throughout all the different proofs and all the different areas of growth that you are in your bourbon journey.
I don't want to steal Gavin's thunder because I'm sure he's just ecstatic. He's been riding on this OSU Cowboys high for a week now, knowing that this was coming. But I do want to say thank you very much. One, for just the craftsmanship of what you guys produce, your willingness to share not only your story, but your whiskey with us. We greatly appreciate it. So, before we end, for those at home that are like, this sounds amazing. Gavin gave it an 88. I mean, I want to try this.
Trust me.
We all know they can drive to Broken Bow, spend the weekend. You got cabins. Mm-hmm. There's a place for people to stay, come by the distillery, the whole bit.
And there's a brewery, next door?
Next door, and the winery.
Exactly.
My wife owns the Knotted Rope Winery. She makes
start there. Move mm-hmm. over to grow up.
Yeah.
But for those who don't find themselves a short jaunt from the distillery, how does one get a hold of a bottle of Hochatown?
Well, you can go into our website. And you can go on there under spirits, and you can order spirits there. Oklahoma doesn't allow you to ship with them or without, but we do have Longhorn in Texas in the Houston area that will ship, and they go through a company called Big Thirst, which is a third-party platform, and we have a distributor in Texas, and you can get a lot of these bourbons shipped right into your house there. So not the barrel proof, but you can get the bottle and bond, you can get the small batch select, and then there's actually a few of the OSU brands that are in there. So you can get those on there and shipped. And, you just be prepared to take 30 days to get it because it's a cumbersome process. It's not us. It's not anybody. It's just all the legal maneuvers and things that you have to go and order. And it's a process, but take 2 to 4 weeks to get it. But it's liquor and it's controlled highly, so that's part of it. But you can do that as well. And then if you're in the DFW area, there's Liquor King that carries a lot of our products. There's 4 or 5 locations, and then we're just kind of a smattering around in Oklahoma. You can find it in most spots, but we always encourage people to come right here to the distillery because you can get every brand, every bottle that we've ever made, and it's always in stock.
Now, you're right across the border from Arkansas. Does Arkansas have it?
It is in Arkansas, in spaces. We put a big marketing effort in Arkansas, but if you don't have the national brands tied behind you, you get pigeonholed and all, and what you wind up doing is letting your distributor sell it at a marked up price for marketing your product, and then they don't market it, and you have to spend your money marketing, and that's not a win-win because they're taking the margin for marketing, and you're paying. If you want to get any name recognition or anything out there, you got to pay for the marketing, and you can't make money at that. So so you kind of, that's one reason why you kind of have to withdraw. You have to understand what your limitations are and all. And we've got a plan to go back into Arkansas though, and it's a really cool plan, and y'all will enjoy it. But we're about 2 years away from talking about that and doing that.
For those at home, HochatownDistilling.com. Go check out the website. You can order whatever you need.
And what I will say is they've had a smattering of amazing whiskeys and spirits, so make sure you go check it out. And I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Eskimo Joe's Clothes in Stillwater, Okie State, and hold on. Ralph's Beef Jerky. If you don't know Ralph's Beef Jerky, go check it out.
Where is it at?
It's in Perkins, Oklahoma.
All right.
I am not eating beef jerky before we have our final sip.
So, but
no, I'm eating it afterwards for sure.
Afterwards, a little Ralph's Beef Jerky. This is my hometown of Perkins, Oklahoma. Beef jerky. You cannot go wrong.
All right.
I tell you, I think drinking bourbon, eating beef jerky probably go pretty good together, don't they?
Yeah.
It needs a pot of baked beans, and we're right on the trail. Hey, Blue, we want to thank you very much. So raise a glass.
Thank you, guys.
To everyone out there, cheers.
And Slancheva.
We want to thank you, our noble listener, for joining us.
We believe each whiskey has a story, and so do you. So give us your thoughts by leaving a comment.
And if you have a whiskey you'd like to see us share, let us know.
You don't want to miss a single episode, so subscribe to our YouTube channel.
And make sure to like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok to stay up to date on the Noble Dram.
And if you find watching us difficult, you can always listen to each episode on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
As always, be noble
and enjoy your dram responsibly.